Rich Rising, Rich Rising. Welcome to another day of Read Rich and Righteous. We're reading Rich and Righteous Spiritual Secrets, Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. And today we are on day number 51. This is part of the Money Mindset Reprogram, 100-day Money Mindset Reprogram Challenge to help you reprogram your mindset for more money. You know, you work hard for money 8 hours a day on weekdays. We spend time here every morning figuring out how money works so that when we are working for it, right? And in fact, we ultimately never want to be working for money. We can work, but not for money. But when we are working, we want to make sure that we're maximizing the money that we're able to produce as a result of the work that we're doing in the world, the good work that we're doing in the world. We don't believe here that you have to do something that you hate in order to make money. And we know that there's a way to be rich and righteous at the same time. And that's what we're creating here. You are becoming part of the wealthiest family in the world. Yes, we are the wealthiest family in the world, meaning that we are seeking to create 100,000 millionaires. 100,000 millionaires. That would be $100 billion in collective net worth, and that would make us the fifth wealthiest family in the world as of today. And so this is what we're focused on, and this is a 30-year vision, and we are starting here with our mind, right? We're not starting with go buy this, go do this, learn how to do this. We're starting with our mindset first. We have to believe that that is even possible for us as a collective, as individually and collectively, before we can actually achieve it in our reality. And so that's what we're focused on here. And this is my approach to financial literacy. This is what actually has helped me create the abundance that I have in my life, from my real estate portfolio to my equity investments in startup companies, etc. It is this mindset. And so now I'm peeling back the curtain so that you can see my thinking about money that has led to the abundance that I have. And that thinking is very spiritual, and understanding money as not just this physical form, but as a spiritual substance that we are meant to use and be stewards of to do good in God's work. So welcome everybody, and I see people typing in their consistency scores. I see some people have achieved the 50 mark, which is absolutely amazing. I see some 51s, some mid 40s, some 30s. Good. That's exciting. So that means that people have been here consistently showing up, doing the work, and that means that this work has been good to them and to get them to continue to show up. And so I'm just very happy that this is blessing so many people, and I know that it'll bless thousands and thousands and thousands more along the way. All right. For those of you joining us for the first time, please type 0 in chat. You can join the challenge for absolutely free by going to richrightnow.com. That's richrightnow.com. There you can buy the ebook, which will get the challenge is free. But if you want, you can buy the ebook that will get you access to all the replays and recordings that you missed, or you can buy a physical copy of the book that also comes with all the replays so that you can catch up on your own time. All right. So with that, we are in one of my favorite chapters in the book. When I got this divine download, this framework, it just made everything so clear in terms of how to use money in the proper way. And that's the commandment that we're in, money commandment number 7, how the rich and righteous use money. And so today's chapter is the 7-point money maximization matrix, the 7-point money maximization matrix. And we actually want to be at the highest level of that matrix, but in reality, many of us spend our money or use our money at the lowest levels. And so now that you will have this language and this framework, now when you have money in your possession, you'll be able to see what level you're using money on, and that will actually reveal to you why you are where you are. Okay. And so we are on page 269. Everybody type I got it when you got it. Everybody type I got it when you got it. And let's get into it. The scripture for the day is Genesis 1:28 said, "Then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and divide." No, be fruitful and multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. All right. So that's where we want to get to in terms of the 7-point money maximization matrix. We're trying to maximize this substance that we have in our life and get the most out of it. All right. So page 269. Most people circulate money at the lowest levels simply because they don't know any better. But there are levels to this. As Reverend Ike says, to circulate means to return to original point of origin, with the source of all supply being God and us being the conductor through which this active energy flows. Where there is no circulation, there is no life. Money and manifestation are mathematical. It is an exact science, and I recognize that having a scoreboard to measure our use of money on a daily basis will help us use money at the highest levels possible. So let's walk through the various ways to use money from the lowest to the highest in a framework I call the 7-point money maximization matrix to help you make better financial day-to-day real-time decisions. So we don't want these principles to be just spiritual and lofty and up here in the sky. No, we want to apply these things on a day-to-day basis, and the 7-point money maximization matrix will really help you do that. So we start negatively, all right? Negative uses of money, and many people operate in the negative. And so the first one is -2. And if you're using money at this way, you're at -2, and that is lose money. Lose money. Warren Buffett said rule number 1 is never lose money. Rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1. He wasn't just referring to the stock market investments. The number 1 way that people lose money is through taxes. Through taxes. This is why he pays a lower effective tax rate than his secretary. If you aren't educated, taxes, whether federal, state, local, property taxes, estate taxes, capital gains taxes, will likely be one of your largest expenses in life, with tax brackets ranging from 10% to 37% based on your adjusted gross income. Most Americans earn ordinary or earned income. Remember, earned income. Everybody type earned income. U-R-N-E-D. You know, when you put somebody's ashes in an urn, the reason we call them earned income is because it's money that you have to work for until you die. It's money you have to work for to death for. It's money that you have to work to death for. And earned income is the worst type of income that you can have, right? It's trading time for money. It's what comes on your W-2. Whereas taxes get taken right off the top of their paycheck, so it doesn't feel like a loss. So most Americans earn ordinary, or what we like to call earned, or we don't like to call it this, but we do call it this to give it real context, earned income. Money you have to work to death for. Money you have to work to death for. Whereas taxes get taken right off the top of their paycheck, so it doesn't actually feel like a loss. See, entrepreneurs, they actually get their revenues, they subtract their expenses, and then they pay taxes from their profit. But for employees, they take the taxes right off the top so that you don't even see it, right? The government's kind of holding it interest-free from you, and then you get a refund, and you think that a refund is a good thing, but a refund is actually bad. It means that the government was holding your money tax-free for about a year, okay? So basically, the government doesn't trust you and therefore withholds your own money from you without interest for a year. Most people are excited when they get a tax refund check, but when you truly understand money, you realize that you never want a refund check, because that means that you let the government use your money for an entire year without any benefit to you. As your wealth consciousness elevates, you will learn how to leverage the tax code to pay no to low taxes, okay? From a business perspective and wealth consciousness standpoint, I love taxes. Yes, you heard me correctly. From a business and wealth consciousness standpoint, I love taxes. You heard me correctly. Sounds crazy, right? I don't love paying taxes, but I love how the game is set up regarding taxes. I don't love paying them, but I love the tax code. The tax code is exactly what it says, a piece of code in the operating system of this game that we're playing that has a disproportionate impact on your ability to produce and preserve wealth. Rather than hate it, you should learn to love it. Rather than hate the tax code, you should learn to love it, especially if it is taking 25% to a third of your income every single year. I love it because the tax code actually incentivizes me to reinvest profits back into my business at levels +2, +3, and +4 instead of pocket the profits for myself. Because if I pocket the profits, if I take the money out of the business, I get taxed. I get penalized for taking the money out for my own personal ambitions. Whereas if I circulate that money through expensing it and investing it back in the business, not only does the business and my wealth grow, right, but I'm able to bless more and more people. So the tax code actually incentivizes me to use the money as opposed to take it out of the business and sit on it. This is why I love the way the game is set up. It's a very beautiful thing when you understand it from a higher perspective. Okay, when I pocket the profits, they get taxed even if I intend to make personal investments with them. If I carry the profits from 11:59 p.m. on December 31st over to 12:01 a.m. on January 1st, I am penalized with a tax. I get penalized, okay? Literally, My light gets dimmed in the twinkling of an eye because 25% of my stored energy disappears into the hands of politicians. All because I did not use that money to stimulate my blessing model and business model. I didn't use that money by December 31st. So they're going to say, we're going to take 25% of it because you didn't use it. So what does that do? That now incentivizes me to use as much money as I possibly can, as much of my profits as I possibly can, and put it back into the business every single year to grow the cycle and the impact bigger and bigger and bigger. Because if I start taking money out of it for my own personal gain, then that limits the growth of the cycle. Yes, I pay myself out of my business, but not so much so, because the impact and the purpose of why I'm here is to facilitate this thing called the multifamily movement and this rich and righteous movement. That's why I'm here. So I want that to be as big as possible. And I know that when I seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, then guess what? All the things that I need shall be added on, will be, not shall, will be added unto me. Okay? So a $1 million profit instantly becomes $750,000 as if October, November, and December didn't exist. So if I carry that $1 million profit from December 31st over into January 1st, it literally turns to $750,000 just like that at a 25% effective tax rate. Literally $250,000 gone to the government as if October, November, December didn't exist. Basically working for the government for 3 months out of the year. Now for employees, tax day is April 15th. You want to know why tax day is April 15th? Because you work for the government for the first 3 months of the year. Tax day is April 15th because you work for the government January, February, and March. Then what you make after that, you can keep. I believe that I'm a better steward of money and can create more good than the government does. How many of you believe that you are better stewards of money than the government? The government wastes all kinds of money, sending money to overseas, helping people in other countries, right? When its own people who actually create that pool of tax dollars are struggling and suffering. But yet they want to be over here and sending billions of dollars over here and over there, claiming that we are the duct tape of the world. We hold the world together, right? So I believe that I'm a better steward of the money than the government. So it's not that I'm opposed to paying taxes, but I believe that I'm a better steward and I actually create greater good than the government does. So therefore I need to find every way possible to make sure that that money stays in my possession and not in the government's possession. Is this making sense? The same is true for you. They have had plenty of tax revenue, yet they continuously run a deficit. The national debt keeps increasing and our collective condition isn't improving. Therefore, I must do everything in my power to keep the money in my control rather than releasing it to them. When I avoid taxes, I'm rewarded for continuing to circulate money into my business's growth by taking the newly created financial capital and investing in more personal, intellectual, social, human, and physical capital. We talked about the 6 forms of capitals earlier this week. All right. Is this making sense? So rule number 1 is never lose money. The number 1 way that we lose money is through taxes. So we have to figure out the tax code and learn to love the tax code and actually love, especially for entrepreneurs, be incentivized by the tax code to continue to reinvest our money back into our business to facilitate its growth and scale. All right. Number 2, which is -1, okay, is spend money. We know that when you spend, everybody type spend, SP-END. SP-END. When you spend money, you end money. You get one use of it and it's gone forever. You may get multiple uses out of the material you buy, but you only get one use out of the money. There's no financial benefit, only instant gratification, which will soon fade. We want to spend money, S-P-I-N. We want to spend money, not spend it. Things we spend money on include food, clothes, cars, rent, furniture, entertainment, and electronics. Some of these are needs and some are wants. It's up to you to discern the difference. When you truly understand money, you can elevate almost every way you currently spend money into a higher level on the money maximization matrix. There are creative ways to turn many liabilities into assets and expenses into revenues. Uber and Turo have turned the expense of a car into a revenue stream. Airbnb has turned the liability of a single-family home into an asset. Twitch has turned the liability of wasting time on video games into a potential asset, right? And while there are some forms of spending that we cannot avoid, like food, we want to spend as little money as possible. We want to spend as little money as possible. Okay. Then there's zero. Zero, which is actually a little bit negative, is saving money. Saving money. I should probably switch these, honestly, because of inflation. I'd rather you spend money and be circulating it into the economy than you actually just saving money and it doing nothing for anybody except for the banks. Okay. But I guess the banks are lending it out. So there is some good that comes. They're just not lending it back to you at the same rate that they're paying you. So zero is save money. You aren't putting the money to use at all. We know that money is stored life energy from value that was created or captured in the past. It is useless unless you use it. At a 0.03% interest rate in your savings account, there is essentially no benefit. At an interest rate of 0.03% from your savings account and an average inflation rate of 3%, you are losing money when you hold it in cash in a bank. The only three things worse than saving money in a bank are putting it under a mattress, spending it, or losing it. Okay? A 3.03% interest rate means that for every $100 in your account, you only earn 3 cents, which is $100 times 0.03 over the course of an entire year. But your cost of living increased by 3% or $3 due to inflation. Therefore, you lost $2.97 or 2.97% by saving your money in a bank. Okay, so you're still losing. So it's actually not zero. It's a little bit negative to even save money. This is why savers are losers. And in this case, we didn't even account for an inflation. Okay, when you account, or actually we did account for inflation. Excuse me, but you're losing money. So it's a little bit less than zero, honestly, right? So now we move on to positive one. And you're going to think this doesn't make sense, Jullien. Donate money. Isn't the money leaving my possession as I donate it? Yes, but it's now being put into good use. That's the difference. It's now being used for something. In the savings account, it's serving nobody. But when you donate, it's now being put towards a good cause. So you are putting money to good use, but it's oftentimes unsustainable. The benefit of donating money is that you have positively charged the money. You get a good feeling and you get a tax write-off up to 50% of your adjusted gross income for the year. But most nonprofits operate from poverty consciousness and continuously have to beg for money to survive instead of creating more sustainable models like many nonprofit hospitals and colleges have. For many nonprofits, there never seem to be enough. The word nonprofit suggests an unsustainable, bottomless pit, and many operate inefficiently. This is why we are seeing the rise of social entrepreneurship, B Corps, and triple bottom line companies. Right? Some nonprofits must spend all the money they have each year. If not, funders will say we gave you too much, and they will not get fully funded the following year, which penalizes a nonprofit that was financially efficient and rewards those that are not. This funding methodology can cause nonprofits to intentionally waste money to ensure they are fully funded the following year. Nonprofits have their blessing model down, but they can do more good work and God's work when they figure out a business model that doesn't primarily rely on external donations. All of God's creations are self-sustaining, which should be the goal of nonprofits because of the great work they do. Donating is an important discipline and demonstration of wealth consciousness, and we will delve into tithing and money commandment number 9. Okay? So even though the money is leaving your possession, it is now positively charged and it's being used for an ideal or an idea towards an individual or institution that is doing nonprofit-based work. But hopefully we can change that language one day, because it's very possible, like colleges and hospitals, to be nonprofits that are profitable. Okay, and that is only allows them to do more good in the world when the not quote unquote nonprofit is actually profitable. All right. Now, for those of you who have the old version of the book, I actually updated this and I switched these two. We actually are going to go into invest money first and then expense money, and I'll explain why. Okay, so positive 2 is invest money. Invest money is when you passively put the money towards an asset you believe will grow outside of yourself or a business you own. Okay, with the intention of generating a percentage return. The benefit is appreciation, equity, increase in stock price, and or cash flow, which is rental income, interest, or dividends. Stocks and real estate are two of the top investment options. You can even loan your money out at a specific rate, and that would count as an investment too. Each investment varies in its degree of risk and the rate of return to reflect that risk. The stock market grows at about 5% per year. Single-family real estate appreciates at about 3% per year, and a decent multifamily real estate deal should yield at least 12% per year. Okay. Now the difference between investing and expensing is the level of ownership and control you have. Okay, it's the level of ownership and control you have. So you may not control the stock market, right? Now you can have some control over a multifamily real estate investment, but you actually don't control the tenants. You don't drive with your systems, how you choose your tenants and how you maintain the property. You can drive profits, but there's only so much that you can do. All right. So now let's go into expensing money. I'm going to explain to you why I put expensing money as higher. Okay, because an investment is into something outside of yourself that you didn't necessarily create. All right. Expensing money is when you are actively, whereas investing is typically passive, and expensing money is when you are actively using money to cover the cost of an asset you are seeking to grow. So you are now the driver of that growth, as opposed to market dynamics or something outside of you being the driver. This is why it's at a higher level. This is why I switched it. Expensing money is different than spending money. Where spending money goes towards a liability, expensing money goes towards building and sustaining assets. The benefit is that the business expenses are tax deductible according to Section 162 of the tax code that outlines which trade or business expenses can be deducted. You can write off all the ordinary and necessary expenses paid or incurred during the taxable year in carrying on any trade or business, and thus reduce your tax liability. What do we say the number one expense in your life would be? It would be taxes. Or it actually be housing, then taxes. Okay. Expenses include things like website design and hosting, your email marketing system, vehicles, equipment, uniforms, a computer, a printer, raw materials, office space and supplies, professional fees, accountants, consultants, and more. There are thousands of things you can write off within the law. A general rule of thumb is that you want to rent things that depreciate over time and buy things that appreciate but can be depreciated for tax purposes over time, like real estate. When done right, every expense should expand the business's ability to do more good and more God in the world and yield a good rate of return on investment. Okay, so listen, you can still be profitable while expensing money, but you are foregoing profit today for a larger profit based on future growth. So some people say, oh, I got a 6-figure business and we made $50,000 this year, and I took that money out and I went on a trip and I got myself a car and this and that, right? Whereas another entrepreneur may say, I'm going to expense as much as possible, right? That is actually going to grow the business, because next year I don't just want to make 100,000. I actually want to grow the business to 250, and the business is going to need some fuel. It's going to need some currency. It's going to need some energy. So I'm going to use the profits, this extra profits that I have, to fuel that growth for next year. So I'm not interested in seeking to make a $50,000 profit this year just to say I made $50,000 profit. I'm actually going to take less profit. I'm going to put that back into the business, and I'm going to grow it bigger and bigger and bigger, so that one day the profit is $5 million. One day the profit is $50 million, right? So expensing is actually preparing the company or the business for greater growth, right? So you're putting money back into the business. Number 4 is multiply money. Okay. Be fruitful and what? Multiply. Positive 4. You are now doubling and tripling and quadrupling and 10xing money by actively buying and building assets you own. The benefit is cash flow and equity. The only way I've seen this achieved consistently is by owning a business. You typically can't get to multiplying money, family, through a job. That's why some of you will be limited by your salary cap. You typically can't get here beyond entrepreneurship, right? And it's by owning a business through private equity or entrepreneurship, okay? Sure, people have hit big on some stocks and stock options, but wealth comes through consistency. In order to be consistent, you would always have to be finding the next big thing to blow. Doubling your money is a 100% return on your initial investment. It's extremely rare for a passive investment to perform at that level, and it's rare to ever experience exponential growth like that in your salary or your job. Multiplying money usually means that you are actively leading the charge. An idea that came to you is now coming through you, and you have found a problem you are passionate about solving and beginning to receive the economic reward proportional to the degree of giving, and you found a large enough problem in market to scale a sizable business over time. Now, here's the powerful thing about this level of money. The powerful thing about building a cash flowing business that isn't dependent on you, right, is that a $300,000 revenue business, right, that profits $100,000 is not just worth $100,000. A business that generated $300,000 in revenue and the profit was $100,000, it expensed $200,000 and the profit was $100,000. It's not just worth $100,000, because based on the industry multiples, that industry multiple could be 2 times revenue. Right? So what does that mean? That a company that is producing $300,000 in revenue in that industry actually is worth 2 times its revenue. So that company is not just worth $100,000 in profit that year, it's actually worth $600,000. Or you can do a multiple on profits, and the multiple on profits in that industry may be 5x on profits. So that $100,000 in profit times 5 would mean that that company is worth $500,000. So even though the company only made $100,000 in profit, because it made $100,000 in profit, it is now worth between $500,000 and $600,000. Right? This is why this is so powerful, and this is how you expand wealth at the highest level possible. Now, each level of the matrix represents how you are charging money. Right? So we saw negative charges when you lose money and when you spend money. Those are negative charges, right? And even leaving money in a savings account has a slightly negative charge, right? So we want to positively charge money. Every level of the matrix represents how you are charging money. Consumers, employees, and people experiencing poverty charge most of their money at levels -2, -1, 0, and sometimes +1 when they're donating to churches, etc. Creators, entrepreneurs, and people experiencing wealth charge most of their money at the levels of +2, +3, and +4. As a child of God and the Creator, you are also a creator. You are meant to be fruitful and multiply. The energy in your body and the stored energy in your bank account should be used at the highest levels possible. The righteous simply aren't putting enough points on the board. We have the power to change the entire game in the same way that Steph Curry changed the game of basketball, typically dominated by big man with his 3-point shooting and dribbling abilities. We level the playing field and bring heaven on earth faster by maximizing the money we've been given stewardship over. Okay? Whether the righteous or unrighteous have more money at this exact moment, our focus is getting more out of the money we have by circulating it faster than we typically have by charging it at higher levels. True prophets shall profit. True prophets, prophets, shall profit. Gone are the days of the poor righteous teacher. If you are doing good in God's work, you are a prophet, and you shall profit. We need you to profit so that you can do more good and more God. I am a true prophet because I create more value in the world than I take based on the way I circulate my energy. I came, I created, I circulated, and contributed, and so shall you. True prophets shall profit. Type that in the chat. True prophets shall profit. True prophets shall profit. We must want those who are doing the greatest good to be profitable so that they can do more good. I came, I created, I circulated, and I contributed, and so shall you. I came, I created, I circulated, I contributed. I came, I created, I circulated, I contributed. I came, I created, I circulated, I contributed. This is why we are here. You came to this earthly experience, right? Your spiritual self came, took possession of this body, which is not you, right? You came. Then you created something. As a child of the Creator, you created something. You circulated that good, and you made a contribution while you were here. This is why we are here. You came, you created, you circulated, and you contributed. That is being a good steward of the God-given energy in your body and the God-given energy that we call money. All right? So as you explore and look at how you use money, look at these 7 points. Am I losing money right now? Am I spending money right now? Am I saving it? Am I investing it? Am I expensing it? Am I multiplying it? And if you actually just put a percentage, let's say you have $100,000 in your possession, okay? You're not losing any of that right now. You may be spending 20% of that on the basic needs of life, right? You have 50 saved, which really means that you don't know what else to do with it. You have some invested. You are expensing some as you start your business, and you're not multiplying any at that level yet. We want to shift that allocation, especially that savings amount. We want to shift that upward. We want to shift, because savings is 0 and it's actually slightly negative. We want to shift that up. How can I invest that? How can I expense that? How can I multiply that? Right? But you're going to need a divine download. You're going to need a divine idea in order to put that into, whether it comes through you or you find one to do it in, invest in. That is your work. Okay? You work hard for money. Now it's time to make your money work hard for you. All right? So that concludes this week. What was this, week 10? That concludes this week. And we finished week 10, y'all. Going on to week 11 next week. So we are going to start off that week still in Money Commandment number 7. And we are going to read the section on how to acquire more assets. You know, I've been talking about assets. I want you all to be part of the asset class. We're going to be talking about that next week as we kick it off. But you're about to go into Sabbath or go into your strong end right now. And I encourage you to take Sabbath, whether that's 2 full days, whether that's 1 full day, half a day, 2 hours. Please take some time for yourself to rest. As creators, we must rest, right? And be still and have that time with God, whatever that looks like for you. I encourage you to do that this strong end. And I will see you here on Monday. If you would like to get the rituals workbook, you can go to richrightnow.com/store, richrightnow.com/store. Yes, there is an exercise. The money maximization exercise is actually in here. The money maximization exercise is on page 81. So that allocation that I talked to you about, that is there for you. So that's on page 81 in the rituals workbook. Again, that's richrightnow.com/store to get access to that. And graduation on December 9th will be at rrgraduation.com, rrgraduation.com. You can sign up to come to the in-person. It's absolutely free, or to link with us on Zoom. Definitely want you in the room so that we can get offline and actually get in person and really meet each other and just feel that vibration and that energy and start to really plant the seeds of this movement all over the country. So I know some people said that they're flying in. Yes, come meet your fellow brothers and sisters who are on this wavelength and ready to create the world's wealthiest family. All right. So with that, I wish you a great strong end. Remember, be God to yourself. Love yourself as God loves you. Be master over yourself as God is master over you. And remember that you are first cause or God in your own life, meaning that no individual, institution, or situation outside of yourself has more power over the direction of your life than you, family. Go enjoy your strong end. I will see you bright and early on Monday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for week 11. Much love, y'all. Peace.